Over the years, the universe of Street Fighter has introduced to us many iconic fighters, including the series' fair share of world-class women in fighting games. In this upload, we are going to be learning all there is to know about one of these gorgeous ladies, as we take a trip back through time to visit the triumphs and tragedies of this graceful grappler. That's right, today is the day we celebrate R.Mika, a professional wrestler and combatant who became embroiled in one of the franchise's most controversial moments in the history of the entire brand, resulting in many long-term fans of Street Fighter becoming extremely angry. So grab yourself a folding chair and get comfortable as we take a look at every chapter in this legendary character's fine career. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. This is the story of R.Mika, a Street Fighter who caused outrage. Yeah! To begin today's tale, we need to head back to 1998, to the year in which we would get to see R.Mika for the very first time, debuting in the action-packed and now considered classic Street Fighter Alpha 3. Fortunately, we are able to learn more about the creation of the new characters who were made for this game from an interview that can be found in the February 1999 issue of Game Informer. General producer for Capcom's research and development division at the time, Noritaka Funamizu, would outline for us some details regarding the addition of R.Mika. He states, "We created R.Mika to enhance the gameplay. We needed a tricky and technical character. But she was not a female wrestler in the beginning. The character would primarily be designed by Akira Yasuda, the famous Street Fighter 2 artist who often goes by the nickname of Akiman. Another designer suggested that Street Fighter needed a lady wrestler, which would result in being an idea that Yasuda was impressed enough with that he would choose to flesh out. Some speculate that her final design was likely inspired by the protagonist from a manga that he would have been aware of known as Luchador Mai, an illustrated manga specifically about women's wrestling. But one thing is for certain, he has commented in the past that he drew inspiration from real-life Japanese professional wrestler Cutie Suzuki, who he had previously read about in Gamist. We have the fortune of being able to see a very early design sketch of the character thanks to a 2022 tweet from Street Fighter 6 director Takayuki Nakayama, with her initially looking very different and lacking her now trademark mask and pigtails. At this stage her hairstyle was inspired by the manga Kimiguri Orange Road, before we got the more refined version of the character from a later draft. Fellow artist Daigo Ekeno would contribute to helping Akiman give this character a sense of realism in design, with there also being an emphasis placed on being careful to make her more than simply a female Zangief. R.Mika's final design would also feature design aspect inspirations drawn from Michiru Sayatomi from Getter Robo, with further characteristics such as her mask grabbing influence from Yataman 2 in an attempt to make her look cuter. In terms of her colour scheme, Akiman notes that that part of the look was inspired by Lisa Kusanami from Sega's fighting game The Last Bronx. So as you can see from all of this, a lot of sources were pulled from to create this now beloved warrior. So that's how this amazing fighter was conceptualised, but what for her debut in Street Fighter Alpha 3? R.Mika would show up boasting an eye-catching appearance with her long golden locks complete with bangs neatly fastened into two symmetrical pigtails, all complementing her striking blue eyes. She would also appear with an outfit that exudes a sense of flamboyance, setting her apart from the typical Japanese Street Fighter character. For the first time, donning her now trademark attire, it consists of a blue and white leotard with lingerie-like flair, adorned with ruffles gracing various areas such as the collar, sleeves and the leg openings. Mika pairs this ensemble with wrestling boots accentuated by white stockings and a white bustier featuring blue hearts on both bosoms. This outfit not only aims to make a bold statement, but also serves the practical purpose of providing more freedom for her arm joints, thanks to the exposed sections around her elbows, shoulders, breasts and buttocks. In the realm of Street Fighter fashion, Mika's attire stands out as one of the most revealing and attention-grabbing designs among the roster of playable female characters. This flamboyant and attention-seeking aspect of this character's design in a future, more sensitive world would eventually lead to some drama, but more on that soon, as presently we are still only at Alpha 3. As for her backstory surrounding the events of the game, from her earliest days, Mika harboured the passionate dream of rising to stardom in the world of Japanese professional wrestling. She embarked on her journey at a tender age, dedicating herself to rigorous training in pursuit of her aspirations. After completing her education at a local junior high school, Mika set her sights on becoming a female wrestler under the mentorship of Yoko Harmageddon. According to the Shadaloo Research Institute, going by the alias of Demon Coach Yoko, this secondary character is the president and coach of a wrestling promotion known as Iwashigahama Japan Women's Pro Wrestling, a female wrestling federation based in Iwashigahama, Japan. The federation was founded 50 years ago by Yoko Harmageddon's grandmother, Junko, when she was tasked with organising fights with wrestlers from the Super Japan Sport University and the Japan Star Women's Pro Wrestling Federation for the opening of the local water theme park. The federation's motto is Diligence, Discipline, Delight. Through several years of intense interval training, Rainbow Mika honed her skills and was poised to step into the professional wrestling arena, eager to carve her name in the annals of wrestling history. Through all this, she devised a brilliant marketing strategy, travelling the globe and taking on impromptu matches against Street Fighters, which is where her journey in Street Fighter Alpha 3 begins. During her Alpha 3 adventure, R.Mika encounters the legendary Zangief and joins forces with him to aid him in his quest to dismantle M. Bison's Psycho Drive, the frightening device that allows this supervillain to further channel his psycho powers. Through her maiden in-game outing, together with the Red Cyclone, they also find themselves involved in the rescue efforts alongside E. Honda, trying to help the Shadaloo Dolls. But her friendship with others and battle to take down M. Bison isn't all what she gets up to in this game. As the story unfolds, Mika crosses paths with fellow debutante Karine, leading to a fierce battle between the two fighters. Impressed by Mika's remarkable combat skills, Karine pledges the support of Kanzuki Zaibatsu as a sponsor for Mika's wrestling career, should she achieve first class status. 6 months after the Psycho Drive's destruction, Zangief finally faces off against R.Mika on her home turf for a public match. In a thrilling showdown lasting just under 20 minutes, Zangief secures victory with a final atomic buster. Despite the defeat at the hands of this Soviet slammer, Mika continues to hold Zangief in high regard, looking up to him as somewhat of an idol. Through this, Zangief acknowledges her determination, noting that she herself is on the path to greatness. As for her combat skills, as to be expected, Mika excels as a grappling specialist, relying on her potent command throws as her primary weapons. What sets her apart from the typical grapplers found in the Street Fighter series and fighting games in general is her exceptional speed and agility. Mika boasts a swift and nimble movement characterised by a remarkably quick jump and agile walking speed. While her standard attacks offer versatility and utility, it's important to note that aside from 2 command throws, her special moves may not be as remarkable, emphasising the need for strategic incorporation into her overall gameplay. Due to being a flamboyant, over-the-top wrestler, many of Mika's unique moves possess a humorous touch. Take her Flying Peach and Shooting Peach specials for instance. In these manoeuvres she propels herself towards her opponent, buttocks first, often landing somewhat clumsily. Furthermore, her opening taunt and beach special super combo involves an unexpected twist. She utilises a top turnbuckle that magically materialises at the side of the screen. This comically redundant appearance of a turnbuckle aids an amusing element, especially when Mika is duking it out on her home turf by her beachside wrestling ring. Speaking of the beach, according to the All About Street Fighter 03 guidebook, it would outline that R.Mika's hobbies are running on sandy beaches, doing push-ups, performing wrestlers' bridges, with her having a rather hilarious special skill of gluttony. Moving past her debut game, R.Mika would next show up in 2001, but not in a Street Fighter game this time. On this occasion, she would appear in a Japan-only Capcom game known as Startling Adventures for the PS1. Maybe I could attempt to get to grips with this oddity in a future video. R.Mika would also show up in the critically panned fighting game known as Capcom Fighting Evolution, but only via making cameos in Felicia's ending. Progressing into the era of Street Fighter 4, Yoshinori Ono heavily petitioned to get her into the game, citing her to be one of his favourite Street Fighter characters. While this didn't happen, the related comic from Udon would include her, revealing that El Forte is a massive fan of hers. As the story progresses, El Forte befriends Sakura after she mentions she knows R.Mika. At the end of the miniseries, Sakura takes R.Mika to El Forte's Mexican restaurant, much to his surprise and delight. R.Mika would receive notable cameos in both Street Fighter Cross Tekken and Ultra Street Fighter 4, with her appearing on billboards alongside fellow professional wrestler Mike Hager. R.Mika's attire also shows up as a swap costume for the Tekken fighter Kuma. This, of course, finally brings us around to Street Fighter V, and R.Mika's grand return as a playable character for the franchise. But this is where controversy would strike. In debut footage showing her in action in the new game, Mika could be seen slapping her butt as part of her critical art. This flamboyant display fit her character, but players would mysteriously not be able to see the animation when the game was released in North America. This would lead to mass outrage from fans online who were very angry with Capcom for feeling that they were taking part in self-censorship, with them trying too hard to be politically correct. Eventually the game's producer, Yoshinori Ono, would even make a statement about the situation, commenting that those changes came up internally. We decided to remove that because we want the biggest possible number of people to play, and we don't want to have something in the game that might make someone uncomfortable. The vagueness and idea that the game was censored just in case it made someone uncomfortable just resulted in gamers becoming even more enraged by this comment. Commenting on this uproar at the time, Chris Carter of Destructoid added, "It's still a bit weird that something this goofy was removed, especially with the design Laura has in general," and noted that a character like Nikali is probably far more harmful for children's eyes. In contrast, Jonathan Holmes, who worked for the same publication, adds, "While there are surely plenty of folks who adore seeing their screen filled with thrilly thong shots, I imagine there may be even more players out there who'd find the sudden prioritisation of arse in their fighting games to be a little out of place." But other game journalists out there seem to be far more critical in general of R.Mika's place in the game. Complex stated Street Fighter has never been shy with the gorgeous ladies, but they've always had full-figured backstories to go along with their full-figured backsides. Rainbow Mika, on the other hand, is the most blatant example of misogynistic character design seen in the series. Todd Kielek from Anime News Network declared Mika as the worst Street Fighter character, reasoning every little detail about her annoyed me, from the stupid boob hearts on her costume to the way she whomped opponents with her butt and rubbed it after she hit the ground. At Pasty would complain that even by Street Fighter standards, this amount of gratuitous flesh is rather ridiculous. And a journalist from the Den of Geek said, while seeing her bust out Stone Cold Stunners is good fun, the way they've transformed her into a sexualized rodeo clown does get kind of embarrassing at times. Writers for the Mary Sue called R.Mika's outfit ridiculously sexist, calling her ditzy and dumb, and furthermore irredeemably so. While there was positivity mixed amongst all of this criticism for the character, as you can tell from all of this, game journalists seem to view video game characters through a different lens to actual gamers. So despite the now infamous butt slap that was heard around the world being removed from the game, fortunately one model of culture would restore it, so that PC gamers who despised censorship could have it placed back in the game. Modder Cena Wins LOL brought it back to the game by successfully rejigging the camera that was obscuring it from view, restoring Cammy's controversially removed up until now crotch shot to the game as well. I guess you know what they say, not all heroes wear capes. With regards to her Street Fighter V return, the game's art director Toshiyuka Kamai dedicated his efforts to revamping her attire with a more daring design, infusing elements that highlighted her transition to a prominent figure in the world of professional wrestling. In a design note, she was described as a vibrant young woman with a robust physique and a classic pro wrestling flair. They placed particular emphasis on accentuating her feminine charm and adorable qualities. With this new iteration, her outfit exposes more skin, yet her chest is now adorned with white fabric featuring a heart-shaped cutout that extends around the upper part of her bust. Street Fighter V would also see her get new secondary outfits, including one with a stylized M on her chest, a red ornate outfit, and a schoolgirl one, because you know what they say, the Japanese really love schoolgirls. Also in this game, a new character named Yamamoto Nadeshiko was introduced, with a design that incorporated her presence in various attacks and other in-game elements. The character's creation traces back to Akira, who conceptualized her as Mika's tag team partner during the development of Street Fighter Alpha 3. Yamamoto Nadeshiko even graced the cover of Capcom's secret file arcade flyer for the game. In the process of integrating her into Street Fighter V, the game's director provided the character designer with a reference image of Japanese professional wrestler Hikaru Shida to guide the design. In Street Fighter V, Mika's expanded her wrestling repertoire, incorporating new moves like the Frankensteiner, Stunner, and Giant Swing. Her initial V-trigger, Come On Nadeshiko, introduces her tag team partner into the mix. Depending on the directional input during activation, Nadeshiko strategically positions herself either in front of or behind their adversary. With a quick drop kick, she sends opponents airborne, or she executes a body slam from above as an extra hit to the combo. If you want to delay Nadeshiko's arrival, simply hold down the V-trigger buttons. In her second V-trigger, Steel Chair, Nadeshiko's actions are determined by how you interact with the buttons. When pressed, she swiftly enters the scene with a steel chair, either tossing it at the foe or using it for a double chair bash if the buttons are held down. In R.Mika's prologue, she has an exhilarating rendezvous with Zangief in the heart of London. The pair engage in a spirited sparring match, showcasing their respective progress. With genuine admiration for the Russian fighter, an overexcited Mika cannot contain her enthusiasm as she repeatedly expresses her admiration for him. In response, Zangief lauds her skills and proposes a bold idea. She should join him on his worldwide journey in pursuit of the enigmatic muscle spirit. Although uncertain about its meaning, Mika eagerly accepts his bizarre offer anyway. Their adventure takes an unexpected turn during a brief halt in India, when Mika stumbles upon Birdie pilfering a stash of donuts. Brimming with determination, she confronts the rogue, and with sheer strength overcomes his resistance. In a hilarious moment, she informs Birdie that he pales in comparison to Zangief, lacking the essence of muscle spirit. Birdie professes his confusion, leading to Mika's surprising realization she herself isn't entirely sure of the concept. Exploiting her momentary perplexity, Birdie slips away, leaving her thoroughly annoyed. In Russia, Zangief orchestrates a showdown, pitting Mika against Laura before engaging in a match of his own. Mika watches in awe as her idol exhibits his prowess. However, during this, a sudden commotion emerges as the bear breaks free from captivity. Determined to prevent the creature from disrupting the spectacle and eager to shield her idol, Mika boldly intervenes, grappling with the formidable beast. As her strength wanes, Zangief rushes to aid her, swiftly subduing the creature. Despite her valiant efforts, Mika gets no closer to her elusive goal. In a heartfelt conversation with the Russian wrestler, Mika expresses her doubts about her progress. Zangief, however, disagrees, asserting that her fearless confrontation with the bear epitomized muscle spirit, an amalgamation of physical prowess and unwavering spirit. He goes on to declare her his partner, granting her the privilege to fight by his side, much to Mika's jubilation. Following this pivotal moment, Mika encounters Ibuki at the prestigious Kanzuki estate. However, their meeting quickly sours as Mika finds Ibuki's demeanour arrogant, and she is uninterested in her offer to build some muscle. In return, Ibuki labels Mika as bossy and excessively enthusiastic, setting the stage for an imminent clash between the two passionate fighters. R.Mika also plays a role in Street Fighter V's overarching story that features all the base characters who were included in the game. In this central narrative, R.Mika forms a partnership with her idol Zangief to take on Laura and Alex in a fierce battle. However, their match is abruptly halted when the Shadaloo organisation activates the 7 Black Moons, throwing the world into chaos. Later on, we find R.Mika at the Kanzuki estate, engaged in heated disagreements with Ibuki, reminiscent of the previous encounter in her prologue story. Just when tensions are running high, Karine intervenes and defeats Mars, asserting that she will gladly join their cause if they can manage to settle their differences. This unexpected proposal prompts R.Mika and Ibuki to cease their argument and reluctantly admit their satisfaction. While invading the Shadaloo base, a heated argument persists though between Ibuki and R.Mika until they are suddenly confronted by Balrog and Ed. In an attempt to defeat Balrog, Ibuki showcases her impressive ninjutsu skills, but unfortunately fails. R.Mika, determined as ever, tries her own moves against Balrog, but achieves no better results. When Ed decides to employ his formidable psycho powers, Ibuki quickly improvises using a smoke bomb to create a distraction. This allows her and R.Mika to seize the coveted chess piece and successfully reunite with Karin and Shibasaki. As they make their escape, they witness Zangief mercilessly pummeling a brainwashed Abel into submission with his spinning pile driver. R.Mika admires Zangief's prowess, while Ibuki is appalled by his ruthless actions. In the climactic final assault against Shadaloo, both R.Mika and Ibuki observe in awe as Zangief triumphantly defeats Satsuki, one of the dolls controlled by Fang, even after surviving her deadly sword slash. R.Mika and the other fighters then witness the ultimate downfall of Shadaloo, bringing Street Fighter V to a close. Now, bearing in mind how controversial R.Mika's presence in Street Fighter V would turn out to be, can we expect to see her as a playable character in Street Fighter VI anytime soon? Well, this is a possibility, as she has already shown up in one scene in the game. Functioning as a disciple of Zangief, she can be seen wrestling a bear in Siberia. However, on this occasion, clothing wise, she is more covered up than ever before. Now, logic would dictate that this is simply because she is fighting in a snowy landscape. But if that's the case, why is Zangief standing around half naked in the very same shot? Some have read this scene as Capcom still feeling shame for the amount of outrage they generated from the whole butt-slapping animation fiasco. In fact, we know damn well that Capcom are keen to avoid another situation like this unfolding, as a leaked Capcom document from 2020 would depict the butt slap specifically as one of the sort of things they don't want in their games going forward. So no matter what way you look at all of this, no one could ever claim that the history of this at points controversial character has been boring. Anyway, if you enjoyed this one, subscribe and check out my lore video on Marissa. Yeah, cheerio.